Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Ron Broussard, aka Mr. Stretch Yourself. And first of all, I want to welcome you to the Freedom Formula Masterclass. Now, before we begin, I want you to know something important. You are not here by accident. Something inside you brought you here. Maybe it's your curiosity, maybe it's pain, maybe it's the feeling that there has to be more. Maybe you're successful on the outside, but on the inside, still feel incomplete. Now, I have to understand, guys, this masterclass is not about fixing you because you are not broken. It's about helping you connect with the part of yourself that life may have caused you to disconnect from. That part of you that existed before fear, before shame, before rejection, before constantly trying to prove your worth. Today, we're going to talk about freedom. Not just freedom from circumstances, understand that, but freedom from the emotional patterns that have quietly influenced your decisions, your relationships, and the way you see yourself. Welcome to the Freedom Formula. Now, I want to start with this question, guys. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why do I keep ending up here? Maybe the people change. Maybe the circumstances change. Maybe the location changes, but somehow that emotional experience seems familiar, right? You keep attracting similar relationships. You keep repeating similar patterns. And then you keep questioning yourself in those same similar ways. And sometimes the hardest part is this: everyone around you may think you're doing fine, right? They see your accomplishments, they see your smile, they see your ability to show up for everyone else. But what they don't see is the internal conversation. The moments you wonder, am I enough? Am I valued? Am I really living the life I'm meant to live? And if you've ever felt that way, this experience was created for you. Now, I want you to sit with this question, guys. When did you stop choosing yourself? Not when did you stop loving others? Because many of us are really good at loving other people, right? We show up, guys. We support, we sacrifice, we encourage. But somewhere along the journey, many of us have learned how to prioritize everyone else's, but slowly abandoning ourselves. Maybe you've learned my needs don't matter. Other people's happiness isn't my responsibility. I need to earn love. I need to prove my value. And little by little, you start becoming who you are needed to be for everyone else. But guess what, guys? You forgot who you were. The purpose of this journey is not to create a new you. The purpose is to reconnect you guys with the authentic you. Does that make sense? So, this is something that I understand personally. Now, there are seasons where we look at everything and can look successful from the outside, but internally, something still feels missing, right? You can accomplish goals, you can help others, you can be respected, you can be needed, but you still have that question inside: why don't I feel fulfilled? Because success cannot heal a relationship with yourself that has been neglected. Does that make sense? Achievement can distract you, it can motivate you, it can create opportunities, but only self love can create peace. That's where this journey begins, not outside yourself, within yourself. Now, I want you to really receive this. You are not broken. Somewhere along the way, many of us, like myself, we began believing something was wrong with us because of what happened, because of what was said or what someone has said, because of what someone did, because of what we've experienced, guys. But guess what? Your experiences are not your identity. Your pain is real. Your story matters and your journey matters. But what happened to you, guess what? It does not get to define what happened through you. Does that make sense? The real you is still there. The confident you, the peaceful you, the authentic you, the you who knows your worth. This journey is about remembering. Now, one of the biggest shifts, guys, we have to make is understanding the difference between surviving and living. Survival teaches us protect yourself. Don't trust too much. Don't get too vulnerable. Don't let people see your weaknesses. And those lessons may have helped us during certain seasons. Does that make sense? So honor that. But those versions of you were just for you to try to protect you. But what protected you in one season, guys, guess what? It may limit you in another. Freedom looks different, guys. Freedom says I trust myself, I honor myself, I set boundaries, I choose peace, and I can live authentically. The goal is not to erase who you were. The goal is to integrate who you were with who you are becoming. Does that make sense? So everything begins with awareness because you cannot change what you refuse to see. Awareness is not judgment. Awareness is not criticism. Awareness is simply saying, I am willing to be honest with myself. The moment you become aware of a pattern, you create the possibility of a different choice. You stop automatically reacting, right? You start intentionally responding. Now that's where freedom begins. Now, before we continue, I want you to ask yourself, write this down. What parts of myself have I been ignoring? Don't judge the answer. I just want you to become aware because awareness is the first step towards transformation. Now, now that we have that awareness, right? I want you to take it just a little bit deeper, okay? Because awareness opens the door, but understanding helps us walk through it. And one of the biggest realizations I had on my own self love journey was this: most people are not stuck because they don't know what to do. They're stuck because something inside of them is afraid of what happens if they actually change. Now, just think about that, guys. Sometimes we say we want freedom, but freedom requires us to release the very thing we use to protect ourselves: the walls we've built, the masks we've created, the identities we've developed, the habits we've formed. And here is the difficult truth: the things may have started as protection, but eventually they became limitations. Does that make sense? A wall that can protect you from being hurt can be the same wall that can prevent you from experiencing a genuine connection, guys. A shield that can protect you from rejection can be that same shield that prevents you from receiving that love you want in your life. So, today, what we're going to do is we're going to uncover 5 invisible chains, not to judge them. Understand that, guys, not to criticize them. But what we're doing is we're being aware. We're recognizing them because what you can recognize, you can transform. So let's begin with one of the deepest emotional patterns many people carry. That's the fear of rejection. We all carry this. Rejection is powerful, guys, because it doesn't just affect how we see other people, it can change how we see ourselves. Sometimes one painful experience creates a belief. Someone leaves, someone chooses someone else, someone tells you you're not enough, someone makes you feel like your voice doesn't matter, and slowly all those little chips become an experience that becomes a story. I'm not lovable. I'm not chosen. I'm not worthy. I don't belong. But here's where it becomes dangerous. Eventually, you no longer need someone else to reject you. You begin rejecting yourself. Listen to that, guys. You stop taking opportunities because you assume you'll fail. You stop expressing yourself because you assume people won't understand. You stop pursuing what you want because you assume disappointment is waiting for you on the other side. And without realizing it, guys, you begin living a smaller version of your life. Now, I want you to remember this, guys. Someone else's inability to recognize your value does not remove your value. Let me say that again, guys. Someone else's inability to recognize your value does not remove your value. Your worth was never something another person had the power to give you. I want you to take a moment. If you have a journal nearby, if you have a journal in front of you, write this down, guys. Where has fear stopped me from choosing myself? Maybe it's a conversation you avoided. Maybe it's a dream you delayed. Maybe it's a relationship you stayed in longer than you should have. Maybe it's a boundary you never created. Don't judge yourself. Don't criticize. Remember, awareness is not about creating shame, guys. Awareness is about creating freedom. The goal is not to say, why did I do that? The better question is, how or what can I choose differently moving forward? The second invisible chain is the need for validation. And I want to be clear: wanting to feel appreciated is human, wanting to feel loved is human, Wanting to be feel seen is human. We on social media. The challenge is when our worth becomes dependent on outside approval. Because when your confidence depends on other people, you give them control over your peace. Make sense? Your happiness becomes connected to their reaction or inaction. Your confidence becomes connected to their opinion. Your identity becomes connected to what they accept. And now you begin performing to be liked, performing to be accepted, performing to be needed. But here's the question I want you to sit with. Who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when nobody applauds? When nobody's there to validate your decisions, when the cameras are off, when social media is away? Who are you when nobody gives that permission? That person is the relationship you must build. This question right here, guys, is very, very powerful because it takes us beneath the surface. Many people spend their lives trying to become someone worthy of being accepted. But what if the journey was never about becoming worthy? What if the journey was about you remembering who you already were? The goal is not the creative version of yourself that impresses everyone. Understand that, guys. The goal is to become someone you respect. Now, take a moment and who are you? Ask yourself that question. Who are you when you're no longer needing to perform? Now, that third invisible chain is shame and guilt. And this is important because many people confuse the two. Guilt says I made a mistake, okay? Shame says I am the mistake. Guilt can create awareness, whereas shame creates identity. And when you begin identifying yourself by your worst moments, you stop allowing yourself to grow. Does that make sense? You keep punishing yourself for something you've already learned from, and you keep carrying emotional weight that was never meant to be permanent. Your past deserves compassion, not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Your past can explain you, but it does not have the permission. Listen to me. It does not have the permission to define you. That is not your story, guys. Now, I want you to complete this sentence. I forgive myself for. Now, this is one of the exercises I do whenever you coach with me, and it's a mirror exercise. It actually makes you cry. But ask yourself three things what you forgive yourself for. Maybe it's I forgive myself for staying too long. I forgive myself for ignoring my intuition. I forgive myself for, for trying to earn love. I forgive myself for abandoning myself. I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now. Listen, guys, you have to give yourself permission to release the version of you who was simply just trying to survive through those moments. Because you cannot receive a new future while constantly punishing yourself for the past. Does that make sense? Forgiveness is not saying what happened to you is okay. Now, understand that. Forgiveness is saying, I refuse to let this situation or circumstances control me anymore. Which brings us to the fourth chain, which is people pleasing. This is the most important. I know it says it for a lot of them, but this one resonates with me too because many people mistake people pleasing. I was one of them for love. They say, "Man, I'm just a caring person," or "I'm just trying to help," or "I don't want anyone to be upset with me." And being caring is beautiful. Supporting others is powerful. Serving others is very meaningful. But there's a difference between love and self-abandonment. Now, people pleasing often comes with a belief. Man, if everyone else is okay, then maybe I'll finally be okay. And that's the way I thought about it. But guys, guess what? Your peace cannot depend on managing everyone else's emotions. You're only responsible for you and how you show up. You're not responsible for everybody else's reactions. Boundaries are not walls, guys. Boundaries are bridges. You know what boundaries do? They teach people how to love you based on the way you're loving yourself. Does that make sense? Now, the fifth one, and this is the most deepest part of our journey because sometimes the biggest thing that we have to release is not something that we did, it's probably something that we became. right? In that survival mode, we become something different because we relied so much. Maybe you became the strong one. Maybe you became that one who never needs help. Maybe you became that one who always has the answer. Maybe you became that one who takes care of everyone else. Maybe you're that one who never breaks. Now, I want you to hear this, guys. First of all, listen, I'm not trying to take nothing away from anything that you've done before. Honor that version of yourself because that version of yourself helped you survive and thrive and got you here. But now, ask yourself, is this identity still serving me? Because sometimes that identity that has protected you in one season becomes that limitation that keeps you from growing in another. Does that make sense? Today, we looked at those invisible chains, right? Which is fear, validation, shame, guilt, people pleasing, the identities we created to survive in any situation that we was in. Understand, you was in one of these in order for you to survive. And maybe you recognize yourself in one of those. Maybe you recognize yourself in several of those. But I want you to understand something very important, guys. Recognition is powerful, but recognition alone is not transformation. Knowing why you struggle creates awareness, like we talked about, right? Now, the next step is what? It's learning how to rebuild that relationship you have with yourself. Because guess what, guys? I tell everyone this, and I'm going to tell you this too as well. Every relationship in your life is influenced by the relationship you have with yourself. And this, guys, is where we begin the journey of self love. Now, now that we've identified those invisible chains that cap us back, now that we understand those emotional patterns, right, that can keep us stuck, the question becomes, how do we move forward? Because awareness without action can leave you frustrated, right? Knowing why we struggle is powerful, but knowing what we need to do next is transformational. And this is why I created Project Self Love, guys. And I want to clarify something. Project Self Love is not about becoming someone else. It's not about creating a fake version of yourself. It's not like pretending everything's perfect. It's about you just coming home to you. It's about you rebuilding that relationship you have with that person you spend every moment of your life with, and that's yourself. Because every relationship you create with others is influenced by the relationship you have with yourself. The way you communicate, the way you set boundaries, the way you receive love, the way you handle challenges, everything begins within. So, Project Self Love, guys, is a journey that's built around 6 intentional stages. And I want you to notice something. Look at the screen. This is not a real quick fix, right? Because real transformation isn't created through information alone. Transformation happens through a process of becoming more aware, more attention, more aligned, more connected with who you truly are, guys. And these 6 stages are designed to help you move from survival into freedom, from fear into trust, from self abandonment into self love. So let's walk through each stage together, shall we? Let's do this. Remember, we talked about awareness, right? The first stage is awareness, and everything begins here because you cannot transform what you are unwilling to acknowledge, guys. And many of us spend years running from ourselves. We avoid difficult situations, we ignore the patterns, we dismiss our emotions or suppress them. We distract ourselves with other things outside of ourselves. But awareness requires courage. It requires us to look honestly at our thoughts, our behaviors, and our choices, not with criticism, but with curiosity. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Begin asking, what is this trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn? Because awareness is not about finding flaws. Awareness is about discovering truth. Now, this is an awareness question, and it's what beliefs have I been carrying that no longer serve me? This is a powerful question, guys, because many of the things that limit us today started as something that we learned in the past. Maybe we have learned I have to be perfect in order to be loved, or I have to take care of everyone, or I can't trust anyone, or I have to do everything myself, or I'm not enough. But just because you learn a belief doesn't mean you have to carry it forever. So I want you to ask yourself, just like it says on the screen, what belief has helped me survive but prevented me from thriving? Say it again. What belief helped me survive but is preventing me now from thriving? That question can change everything. Now, the second stage is acceptance. And acceptance is one of the most misunderstood concepts. And I'm going to let you know why. The reasoning is acceptance does not mean that you approve of everything that happened. Acceptance only means you acknowledge what has happened and I choose not to let it control my future. See, many people stay trapped because they're constantly fighting their past or they're constantly acknowledging it. They're constantly labeling themselves by replaying conversations, reliving moments, wishing that they had did something differently. Now, while all that is understandable, we've all went through it, including myself. You cannot move forward while constantly fighting what has already happened. Acceptance is where you reclaim your power. Your past matters, guys. Your experiences matter. Your story matters, but your past is a chapter. It's not the entire book. A painful chapter does not mean that the story is over. A mistake does not mean that you are a mistake. A season of struggle does not mean that you are destined to struggle forever. The question is not, why did this happen to me? The empowering question is, who do I choose to become because it's happened? This is where growth begins. Now, step 3 is becoming. Is creating the person you choose to become. And this is one of my favorite questions. Who are you becoming, guys? Not what do you own? Not what title do you have? Not what does the world see? Who are you becoming? Because every day, every choice, every habit, every conversation is shaping the person that you are becoming. You're always becoming something. The question is, are you choosing it intentionally or are you just simply repeating what you've always done? Now, this is one of the biggest mindset shifts in the entire journey. It's an identity shift. When we focus on only the past, we stay connected to the old identity. We say, this is just who I am. I've always been this way. That's just how I operate. But growth requires a different question, and that is, who am I becoming? Because the future version of yourself requires different choices from the current version of yourself. I'm going to say that again. The future version of yourself is requiring different choices from the current version of yourself. The person you want to become needs you to start thinking differently right now. Start choosing differently. Start showing up differently. Now, the fourth stage is alignment. Man, I love alignment. Alignment is when your life is matching what you say matters to you. Because many people say their health matters, but their habits in food can disagree. They say their relationship matters, but their boundaries are suspect, right? They say my peace matters, but their choices invite chaos. Alignment is not perfection. Alignment is honesty. Alignment is looking at your life and asking, does the way I live reflect the person that I say that I want to become? Meaning, thoughts, words, actions, everything align, same direction, moving. Now, the fifth stage is commitment. Now, this is where transformation becomes real because inspiration is temporary. Motivation comes and goes. Life will always create distractions. Life is lifing, right? Commitment is choosing yourself, even when it's convenience. Self love is not just saying, I love myself. Self love is saying, I will honor myself, I'll respect myself. And guess what? I'm going to keep my promises to myself because the relationship you have with yourself is built through trust. And trust is created through consistency. And consistency is created through you being committed every day to you. Does that make sense? Now, the final stage is expansion. And expansion is not about becoming more expressive. It's about becoming more authentic. It's the moment when you stop asking, am I allowed to be this person? And you start saying, this is who I am. This is how I show up. Expansion looks like this, guys: setting boundaries without guilt, receiving love without suspicion, and following your purpose without fear. And then speaking your truth without apology, guys. Expansion is your freedom in action, guys. Now, I want you to remember this formula because awareness creates understanding, right? And then action creates the movement. So it's awareness plus action plus accountability, which creates the consistency. But you need all three because without awareness, without action, creates frustration, right? So you need all three of them. Action without awareness creates confusion, and action without accountability often fades. Transformation happens when you commit to the process, meaning you're aware, you take the action, you're accountable for yourself. Transformation occurs. And this is the heart of Project Self Love. This is something not about changing something overnight, it's about you compounding interest by creating intentional choices every day to bring you closer to yourself. Now, we talked about the framework, we talked about the journey. But I want to take you through something deeper because sometimes the greatest breakthroughs happen when we stop analyzing and we allow ourselves to connect with the version of ourselves that we're becoming. In the next section, we're going to experience the Freedom Breakthrough Experience. Now, before we move forward, I want to invite you into an experience, not another lesson, not another exercise, an experience. If you're in a place where you feel comfortable, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Take a deep breath. Slowly take it in and gently let it go. Again, breathe in and breathe out. Allow yourself to become fully present. No distractions, no expectations, just in this moment, just listening to my voice, okay? Now, I want you to imagine yourself standing on a beautiful path. Now, as you begin walking, you notice someone approaching you. With every step, they become clearer. Then you recognize something incredible. The person walking towards you is you, not the version of you carrying fear, not the version of you constantly proving your worth or trying to prove your worth, not the version of you exhausted from people pleasing. This is the version of you who has experienced freedom, the version of you who knows who they are, the version of you who trusts themselves, the version of you who learned to love themselves deeply. Walk towards them. Look into their eyes. Notice the peace that they carry. Notice the confidence that just radiates, that doesn't need validation. Notice the joy that comes from living authentically. Now, I want you to stay with that image, okay? Now, as you stand in front of your future self, ask one simple question. What did I have to release to become you? Then listen. Maybe that answer is fear. Maybe it's resentment. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's trying to be perfect. Maybe it's the need to control everything. Maybe it's the need for everyone's approval. Don't force the answer, guys. Just trust what comes up. Now, I want you to ask another question. What did letting go make room for? Perhaps that answer is peace, like it was with me. It may be confidence, happiness, healthy love, purpose, freedom. Just remember this: you cannot receive with closed hands. Sometimes Letting go is what creates space for everything that you've been praying and preparing for. Now, I want you to ask your future self one more final question. What did I need to believe about myself? Maybe the answer was like it was for me. I was always enough. Maybe it's I didn't need permission. My voice mattered. I deserve healthy relationships. I was worthy of love that didn't require me to lose myself. I could trust myself again. Whatever your answer is, don't let it stay in this moment now, okay? Carry it with you because beliefs become decisions. Decisions become habits. Habits become your future. The life you desire begins with the beliefs you choose to nurture today, not yesterday. Now, I want you to slowly open your eyes, guys, and I want you to repeat these words. Not because I said them, but because you're ready to believe them. I choose myself. Again, I choose myself. And choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop loving others. It means you just stop abandoning yourself. It means your peace matters. Your healing matters. Your dreams matter. Your voice matters too. For so long, we've waited for someone else to choose us. And today, guess what? You become that person. Today, you choose yourself. And every day after this, guess what? You keep choosing yourself. This is what Project Self Love has always been about. Not self improvement, self remembrance. You don't have to become worthy, okay? You don't have to earn your value. You don't have to prove your significance. Your worth has never been determined by what's happened to you. It has always existed. Sometimes life simply just buries it, guys. We be lifing beneath fear, shame, rejection, or disappointment. Today, we've started uncovering it. But here's what I know after years of coaching and walking alongside people on their journey. A breakthrough is powerful, but a breakthrough without a plan often becomes a beautiful memory instead of a lasting transformation. This is why the next step matters because awareness opened the door, right? Now it's time to walk through it. If something inside you is saying, I'm ready, I'm tired of repeating those same emotional patterns. I want to become the person I just met. Then let me show you exactly how we can continue this journey together. Now, take a moment and think about what you've experienced over the last 30 minutes or so. You've reflected on your story. You've identified emotional patterns. You've challenged beliefs that may have been limiting for years, and you've met the future version of yourself. Now comes the most important question of today. What happens after the breakthrough? Because breakthroughs are incredible. Don't get me wrong, they give us clarity, they give us hope, they remind us that change is possible. But here's what I've learned after years of coaching and working with people from all walks of life. A breakthrough can change your perspective, but a process can change your life. Without a plan, many people leave inspired, but few days later, life gets busy. You know how it goes. Old habits return, and that breakthrough slowly fades into a memory. Now, I don't want that happening for you. I want today's breakthrough to become the beginning of your transformation. Does that make sense? This simple statement is the foundation of everything I teach. A breakthrough creates awareness, a process creates transformation. Awareness is where change begins, right? But awareness alone isn't enough. Just think of it this way. If you want to get physically healthy, reading about fitness won't transform your body. You need consistent practice. If you want to learn a new language, right? Watching one video won't make you fluent. You need repetition. The same is true with emotional growth. You don't build confidence in a day. That's like compound interest. We build confidence by making courageous choices consistently. You don't build self love by saying the words once. You build self love by choosing yourself over and over again. Transformation isn't an event, guys, it's a lifestyle. Does that make sense? This is why I created Project Self Love. Not because I wanted another online course, but because I wanted to create a roadmap, a place where people could stop trying to figure it all out alone. Now, over 6 intentional weeks, we walked through the same framework we've explored today, but at a much deeper level, because every lesson builds on the last. Every exercise is designed to create awareness in action, and each week moves you closer to the person that you know you're capable of being. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about making one decision after another that aligns with the life you truly want. So let me show you what makes this experience different. Inside Project Self Love, you just won't receive information. You receive structure. You receive practical exercise that will help you apply what you're learning to real life. You'll receive guided reflections that change old beliefs and strengthen new ones. And you'll have accountability if you need me on call, guys, because lasting change is easier when someone's walking beside you and you have someone to talk to you. And more importantly, you become part of a community of people who are committed to growing together. Because growth happens faster when you're reminded that you're not alone, when someone else is on that path with you. Project Self Love is for the person who's tired of surviving, who's ready to stop repeating those same emotional cycles. It's for that person who's ready to stop looking outside of themselves for that validation that they've been searching. It's for that person who wants healthier relationships, but understand that healthier relationships begin with a healthier relationship with themselves. And it's for the person who's finally ready to choose themselves without guilt. Now, if you've seen yourself anywhere in today's masterclass, then I believe you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I also believe in being honest. Project Self Love isn't for everyone. Now, if you're looking for someone to magically fix your life, this isn't it. Okay. If you're waiting for someone else to change before you're willing to grow, guess what, guys? This is not it. But if you're willing to be honest with yourself, if you're unwilling, then this isn't it. You got to be willing to be honest with yourself. Transformation requires participation. Make sense? It requires courage. It requires consistency. It requires you to be vulnerable with yourself and honest. But if you're willing to do the work, I can promise you this: you won't be doing it alone, guys. You won't. Imagine, I'd like for you to imagine your life 6 weeks from now, not a perfect life, understand that, a more intentional life. Imagine waking up with greater clarity because now you understand yourself. Imagine making decisions from confidence and where you are instead of fear. Imagine setting those boundaries without feeling guilty. Imagine trusting that intuition is supposed to guide you over again. Imagine feeling lighter because you're no longer carrying beliefs that were never meant to define you. That future doesn't happen because of one masterclass. Understand that, guys. It happens because you decide to keep walking. Now, every meaningful change in your life starts with one decision to apply for the job, one decision to begin a relationship, one decision to leave something that no longer serves you. Today is no different, guys. You don't have to have every answer. You don't have to know every step. You just simply have to decide that your future deserves more than your past patterns. One decision can change the direction of your life. Today, that decision is basically just to choose yourself, guys. For so many years, guys, many of us have waited. We've waited for approval, waited for confidence, waited for someone else to believe in us before we believed in ourselves. But here's what I want you to leave with today. You don't need permission. You don't need someone else's validation. You don't need to earn your worth. You simply need to remember it, because the person you're becoming has always been within you. Today's journey, guys, wasn't about creating something new. It was about reconnecting with someone you've always been. If something inside you have been saying, I'm ready, I want to invite you to take the next step. Join me inside Project Self Love. Not because I have all the answers, I'll be totally honest with you, but because I've been through this work myself and I've created a proven framework to help you ask better questions, build healthier habits, and strengthen the most important relationship you'll ever have, the relationship with yourself. This isn't just a course, it's a communication to your growth, a communication to your healing, a commitment to living your greater awareness, authenticity, and purpose. So, if you're ready to stop repeating old habits and to start a new chapter, it would be my pleasure and honor to walk alongside you. Click the link, enroll in Project Self Love, and begin your journey today. I truly believe, guys, that your greatest relationship, your greatest freedom, and your most authentic life is waiting on the other side of one courageous decision. I'll see you on the other side. Before we say goodbye, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me 45 minutes to an hour of your time. I want to thank you for being willing to pause, reflect, and have an honest conversation with yourself. It takes courage. And courage is where every transformation begins, guys. Today was not about learning more information. It was just basically about remembering something that may have been buried for a long time under a lot of lifing, that you matter, that your voice matters, that your peace matters, that your future is worth investing in, and more importantly, that the relationship you have with yourself influences every other relationship in your life. So, my question for you is simple. What will you do with what you've discovered today? And then, will this become another inspiring video that you watch? Or will this become the day your life begins to change? Now, between you and I, you already know the answer. And if you're ready to continue this journey with me, there are 3 ways we can stay connected, okay? First, I invite you to join Project Self Love. This is where we take everything we experience today and we turn it into a daily practice. We walk through it together through a completed framework with guided lessons, reflection exercises, and practical action steps, accountability, and a community of people who are choosing growth over comfort. Second, you can join the Stretch Yourself community. Transformation isn't meant to happen alone. Now, when you surround yourself with people who are committed just like you are to becoming healthier, stronger, and more authentic, something powerful happens. You begin believing that your growth is possible because you're watching other people grow alongside you. Now, this community is a place to ask questions, celebrate wins, share challenges, and include and continue to stretch each other into those persons and those people that we are becoming based on our accountability. And finally, guys, I'd love to see each and every one of you every Saturday on Relationship Rewind, socially on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere social sites are. Each week, we have honest conversations about relationships, emotional patterns, communication, healing confidence, and personal growth. Together, we continue building the life and the relationships you deserve. Everything you need to get you started is waiting for you at stretchyourself.org. Now, as we close, I want to leave you with one final thought, guys, and that's this. You're not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are simply one decision away from beginning a different chapter. So choose yourself, not just today, not just tomorrow, not the day after that, every day that follows, because self-love isn't one decision, guys. It's a daily practice. It's a promise you make to yourself. It's a promise to honor your own worth, to protect your peace, to pursue your purpose with happiness and live with intention. And when you do this, guys, you don't just change your life. You change every life your life touches. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to walk beside you and you taking the time to invest in your journey today. My name is Ron Broussard, guys, also known as Mr. Stretch Yourself. Until we meet again, guys, remember who you were, reclaim who you are, and then create who you're becoming. And most importantly, guys, hey, keep stretching yourself because the greatest relationships you'll ever build is the one you build with yourself. I'll see you inside Project Self Love.